to the meeting. I want to thank all of you for coming on board. We still seem to be a little thin in terms of our numbers, but we will go ahead and start because I know that we all of us are busy in the evening and we want to get on with our evening. Good evening to everyone. My name is Reverend Dr. Robert L. Screen. I'll be your facilitating host here tonight. I want to thank all of you again for being on board, and very much an important time in all of our meeting elements that we're going to be speaking about tonight. And I want to thank all of you for having the concern to be on board with us. I know that we're still collecting individuals coming in. I guess with the new time, frame that we find ourselves in with the having a little bit more daylight, I guess people are kind of squeezing as much activity in the evening as they can in other areas. But I'm sure everyone will be here that are planning to be here. And I want to thank all of you again for taking time out of your busy evening to be with us on such important information. I would like to start out. I don't know that if someone's representing the Prince George's County District 7. I received information from Captain Martini of the reports that the monthly report that they usually give. I don't see him on the call or anyone from the District 7 office. So what I will do is read the report that Major Mitchell usually gives in his stead. This again is the recent 30-day, actually it's a cumulative period coming from January 1 of this year to 3/18/23 of the efforts by the traffic enforcement elements of District 7. It goes as thus: traffic stops, and this is the cumulative total traffic stop citations. They have the number 289, moving violations 125, warnings 462, zeros 53, a total of 640 citations cumulative altogether of those categories. I do not see any DUI arrests. That category is showing 0. Other things in terms of under the citation category, they only have a warrant service of 2 in the cumulative time from January to the present, well, up to the 18th of this month. And that's pretty much the total that we have coming from the District 7 enforcement unit on the roadway. I know that they're unfortunately, their numbers are greatly, well, I guess I'll put it this way, challenged. And being challenged, they just don't have the officers out there in the numbers that we would like, that they would probably like. But nevertheless, this is what those who have been participating on the roadways, traffic officers, the numbers are as I have given you. We do not have again, the speed camera data. I will speak to that later on in the into our time of meeting. But right now, I'll just leave that as it is. So again, the numbers I've given you: 289 traffic stop citation, a total of 640 cumulative of all the categories I named from January to the 18th of this month. And please hold all questions to the end, because I like to have a discussion period where we can actually have time and breath to air out the things that we would like to ask, the things we like to say. I'm going to move real quickly. I see that Peter Campanides is with us. Good evening, Peter.
Good evening, Reverend Screen. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. I'm going to do a quick introduction to you, Peter. I know that you've been with us so much that I think you're kind of, part of the family here in Southern Maryland here for the 210 Traffic Safety Committee. But nevertheless, I want to introduce, for those who may not know you, Peter Campanides is our State Highway Administration representative. He has been with us the 5.5 years of our time in being. Peter gives us the updates from from all the updates regarding the traffic, anything having to do with road work, having to do with infrastructure, anything having to do with important issues with 210 Indian Head Highway that we should know about. I know there's been several things going on, Peter, the 228 interchange. I know you probably have something for us on that, but as well as other things as well. But I just want to introduce to you to some and I guess acquaint to others that Peter Campanides, our State Highway Administrative Representative, will give it to you and let you have at it, Peter.
Thank you, Reverend Screen. Good evening, everyone. So the only thing that I have to report in regards to Maryland 228 has to do with the section along 210 from the Charles County line to Maryland 228. There is a research project that has practical implications in regards to treatments that we're looking to implement as to calm traffic along that section. As we all know, that section, along with many other sections along 210 from even north of Maryland 228 up to the Beltway, experience high speeding traffic. So what we're looking to do is implement a traffic pattern along this section that would be implemented in such a way that it would condition motorists to drive closer to the 55-mile-per-hour speed limit. And what we are looking to do is install a series of 3 different kinds of treatments. One treatment would be flex posts, and they would be installed on either end of the edge lines, and there would be a new edge lines on either side that would narrow the lanes down from 12 feet to 11 feet. Another section that would use quick curb that has flex posts as the vertical, being the vertical delineation that would be used along another section. And then lastly, we would use another type of quick curb that would have basically flat panels, or what I call paddles. And each of these devices are retroreflective, but the intent is to create a tunnel effect that would encourage motorists to drive at safer speeds. We're in the process of getting proposals from the various universities who are interested, and we do have interest in this endeavor, and we're looking to move forward with this implementation sometime this summer. And that's really the that's really the only update I have at this time.
Okay. Okay, well, Peter, thank you for that update. I have several times have gone through that interchange where you're talking about, and have seen the work being done. I didn't know exactly what the end goal was, as the things you have explained in terms of flex posts and other implementations that are going to hopefully encourage slower speeds on that ramp coming into Indian Head Highway from 228. I'm glad to hear that you're going to, replace those flex posts, because they definitely have a very good purpose there, keeping people off the shoulders and from jumping into front of traffic ongoing into Indian Head Highway. All kinds of creative ways in which people are being very unsafe.
Reverend Screen, I think I wanna provide clarity on what it is that I'm trying to do.
Mhm.
We're looking at the section along 210 proper to put in the flex posts or quick curb on either end of the two lanes, if you
Mhm.
will.
Okay,
Uh, we're not looking to replace any of the flex posts that were previously installed along Maryland 228, making that left turn to go south on 210. If you're, oh, you know what I think you're talking about? There's so much going on, and I apologize.
mhm.
There's a resurfacing project. Is that what you're seeing out there right now?
Well, yes, I saw the flex post removed and the, actually the road surface has been, they're
Okay.
preparing it, I guess, to put more asphalt or something else
Yeah.
on the road.
Okay, so when all of that is said and done and completed, we're gonna reinstall the flex post.
Okay,
All
good.
right, so we'll make sure that happens. It may not be as quickly as everybody wants. But they are gonna go in. They're gonna be
Replace them.
they're gonna be replaced, and because they they have proven to be effective in deterring the traffic from making those maneuvers that
Yeah.
were problematic a couple years ago.
Okay, okay. Well, that's good to know, and I'm glad to hear that they're going to be on top of that. I want to just mention, Peter, and we have Miss Barbara Hufford on the line that wants to speak to you directly about something. Uh, but I'm going to ask Barbara to hold off her question until we get through this presentation section. But I just wanted to put you on notice that she's going to be asking you some things uh, that refer to some road issues that only you can answer. Her questions are going to be directed to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. I want to move real quickly to our next presenter. As all of you probably know, most of you at least, we have in the process in the session of the two bills that we have put forth, HB 431, which is the bill regarding the increase of the fines for Indian Head Highway, things we've been talking about the last so many months, HB 435, which is the bill regarding increasing the number of speed cameras along the Indian Head Highway roadway. So both of those issues, both of those bills are in process in the General Assembly, but the currency of exactly the status is something I'm going to divert to Brother Ron Weiss, who's on top of the key elements and up to date as far as I guess recent data that governs both of these bills. So I'm going to turn it right over to Ron Weiss, so all of us can be enlightened to what he knows and what he can share with us on the currency of these two bills. Ron, I'll give it to you.
Thank you, Reverend Screen. Good evening, everyone. The status is that there's, as Reverend Screen said, there's two bills. The 431 for the increased fines and penalties for multiple infractions, and 435 that adds additional speed cameras and extends the sunset of our ability to have speed cameras on 210. The original bill that provided let us put speed cameras in had a sunset of September 30th of this year, and so HB 435 was extremely important in that it modified that sunset. We originally thought they were, or the original bill as written was going to eliminate the sunset totally, but the way it wound up is that we now have an additional 5 years beyond September 30th, another increment of 5 years. for the sunset on our ability to have speed cameras on 210. It also, that bill 435 started out asking for permission to have up to 10 speed cameras on 210. It was negotiated down to a total of, or a maximum of 6 speed cameras on 210. That bill has cleared the House of Delegates and is crossed over today to the Senate, and it will go into Judicial Proceedings Committee in the Senate. Senator Muse is a member of that committee, and his office has indicated he will give it his full support. So that's encouraging for that. So that's the good news. The bad news is that HB 431 is basically dead. It wasn't voted out of this the Motor Vehicle and Transportation Subcommittee of the Environment and Transportation Committee. And the email I got back from the chair of the subcommittee, Motor Vehicle and Transportation, Delegate Sarah Love, is that there were broad concerns in the leadership about the bill. And she didn't specify that, and she's indicated that's about all she could say about it. But I've trying to read between the lines with all the information I've got back from other sources and members, delegates, especially in a hearing on HB 435 that in the Delegate Deborah Davis, who is a representative of Charles County, she voted against HB 435, and she had a few problems with it, but the one that stuck out to me was that it was a tax on people from the South. And so I responded to her about that, but I think what she means are people from Charles County and St. Mary's County who use 210 to go to the district. And Delegate Davis said that, among other things, that she's in Charles County and she uses 210 daily, and it's so jammed there's no way people can speed on it. And there's several other arguments she made, none of which I agree with. But the thing that stuck out, as I said, is the fact that she thinks it's a tax on people from the South. And that means to me that she's representing the other delegates from Charles County and St. Mary's County who have traditionally voted against our speed camera bills. And last year was Delegate C.T. Wilson from Charles County who voted against it. He wasn't on the committee this year, but Delegate Davis was, and she's again voted against it. So we have this block of there's a total of 7 delegates from Charles County and St. Mary's County who I think are against us having speed cameras on 210. And she's voicing their opposition to it. In any case, that bill that increased the fines accordingly to the scheduled increase according to the excess speed that people were cited at, and added fines for multiple citations within 2 years, is not crossing over to the Senate, and so it's essentially dead. And I think we should, personally, I think we should try again next year, but this time I think we should lobby those 7 delegates from Charles County and St. Mary's County and try and convince them that it's not a tax on them, that the speed cameras have no clue as to where people are coming from, and that people who die or are killed on Indian Head Highway, it could be people from St. Mary's and Charles County, and we're trying to save their lives as well. You know, it's a life is Charles County life, and St. Mary's County life is just as valuable as a Prince George's County life. I'm not sure why they feel that way, but I think we should try and convince them between now and the next General Assembly next year that they should support us when we try to try again for the graduated fines. Okay, that's I think, is that anything else you need me to talk to?
Well, I thank you, Ron, on that presentation. I think you got to the guts of what you know and what is occurring. It's kind of you can't find the right words that anyone could think that we're trying to put a tax on people coming from these other counties. Whereas, I mean, you're going through the most deadly highway, not just in the county, but in the DMV. And the speed cameras are there just to bring some sense of safety, civility, and security for everyone, including them, or anyone that takes it. But people have their own made up ideas, and it's unfortunate that it is that way. But I thank you for reporting what you have, Ron, and we'll open this up for discussion, in a moment or two. But I want to thank you, Ron, for getting into the guts of the 2 bills. As it were, we have a special guest here that has been brought to my attention here tonight on board. I'm going to have Miss Cynthia Jones, who's representative from the MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving group, to introduce this special guest, who also has some words that I think I've been told that we need to hear regarding the Bill 431. And so I'll turn it over to you, Ms. Cynthia Jones, and let you take it over from there to introduce the guest.
Thank you, Ron. I'd like to introduce Linda Thornton Thomas, who is the president of the Prince George's County NAACP branch. And they have a legislative section within their branch who monitors all bills, and they also have a grave concern with HB 431 and 435. So, Linda, are you on?
Yes, I am. Okay, good.
So, Linda, can you give us some feedback on what Reverend Screen was telling us, that there were some broad concerns in the leadership about the bill? I'm wondering if there are some delegates who have some either personal or unpersonal feelings about the increase in fines in order to save lives.
Yeah, I don't think that, and I hate to make comparisons, but and first of all, I should say hello to everyone and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I think that our delegation in Prince George's County most of them are in favor, especially for the cameras. They're pushing that. There was some discussion on the amount of money. We feel with the NAACP that a fine is important because it discourages people. And to say that we should be very lenient on the fine is saying it's okay for someone to drive 90 miles an hour and perhaps maybe cause a death, but it's okay because we just don't want to charge them too much. I think that there's a problem there. And I have spoken to our delegation regarding that. I've talked to Nick Charles and several others, Veronica Turner, and I've even spoken to Senator Ellis in Charles County. Now, he didn't have a yes or no. He was certainly interested in it, and he believes, of course, it is a safety hazard there going up and down 210. And so, of course, I'm not sure exactly what his vote might be, but we are concerned. There are a number of accidents. There's people complaining all the time. Traffic is backed up. I've even heard comments from some of the police officers who are coming up and down, the highway on 210, and it's disturbing. So I certainly understand why some of the people are saying, I don't want the fine to go up because they are speeding themselves, sadly, and we have found that to be true. But I think with my group, we're all concerned about safety, and we very much want to increase the fines. We think it will discourage people and that they will slow down. Also, as far as the speed cameras are, I think it's very important that we have them. It also deters people from speeding. And I don't quite understand why it's opposition. We didn't get a chance to go in and argue the point for these two bills. And I'm sorry we didn't get a chance. We were working on a couple of bills. We did the veterans bill, and there were some other things on the budget, and just trying to get to everything. We did not get a chance to push on these two bills. Cynthia brought this to us last year, and she even talked about it prior to that. And we were all in support of it because we think it's important. So I'm here to offer our support. And I also want to bring greetings from the Southern Christian Leadership, and that is Josephine Morning, who's the president. And she too is concerned about the safety on 210. So whatever we can do collectively, we are certainly willing to participate. And if we have to advocate for it, throughout the summer into next fall, we can do that as well. So please let us know what we need to do. And I thank you again for the opportunity.
Yes.
Mhm.
Well, Ms. Thornton, Reverend Screen here again. I want to thank you for the encouraging words and support that you're giving from your posture position, from those others who have coalesced with you in terms of wanting to support this bill. We have felt it very important in being a deterrent for the things that we as a community have had to live with. It's almost like each and all of us on any highway, it's almost like a guillotine effect. We can feel the pressure of the blade above our necks. Just taking normal routine drives on the roadway, we don't know how things are going to turn out. We lost 10 people last year. We've lost almost 90 in the last 15 years. And so there's for 14 miles of road in Prince George's County, this particular segment of road is the most dangerous in the state, in the DMV, as it were. And so people making, arguments of the kinds that we've heard here tonight, it just doesn't have place or no place in terms of safety for anyone. But it is what it is. We're still as a community really beleaguered in that we're short on enforcement officers from Prince George's County. we do not have the Prince George's, the state troopers at all, which is another whole argument that we have been trying to make. There's a 23-year-old MOU that was written to give Prince George's County overall authority to police this state road, but as it were, their understaffing does not meet the bar, does not help us. And so we were trying to get a combination of the state troopers to combine their efforts with Prince George's County on the road to have some semblance of cruiser control there. But it's not, I don't think it's not coincidence that state troopers will go through Prince George's County to Charles County and pick up
Yes.
enforcement in combination with the Charles County Police. I mean,
Yeah.
this kind of ridiculous is, set of circumstances, what's been going on for far too long. So we're being, I don't know, it's almost like a forgotten segment of the community in Prince George's County. And to hear the kind of arguments that, that we've been hearing that have got in the way of this bill 431, it doesn't make sense when the number of people who have lost their lives, it just doesn't seem to register with some people who don't live in the community, first of all, but then who make comments about the community in terms of, there's no speeding here and that sort of thing, ridiculous types of things. But we nevertheless, we thank you so much for your support, and we thank you for the encouraging things that you've had to say here tonight. And we certainly look to coalesce with you during the course of the year to hopefully move this needle once again for this very well and needed, increase in fines. I mean, we have, as it is now, and I'm sure you've heard the argument, $40 fine. We've had people go up to 168 miles an hour. They would pay the same $40 as someone going 67 miles an
Yeah.
hour, which is ridiculous. There's no
Yeah.
deterrent factor there. And we have many, 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 many people going over 100 miles an hour on this road at random. So we do need as much support as we can. And we thank you so much for coming on board with us.
Well, thank you. I also sent a letter, if I may share, I also sent a letter to the administration for the state troopers. I did ask about the number of personnel that they had. And we shared that information also with our new governor, which is Wes Moore, of course. And we're looking into the actual number per county. I know it may sound weird, but it is important to do that and to find out how many we have here and how many state troopers we have assigned in Charles County and every other county. So with the support of Nick Charles, our chair of a delegation, we hope to get that information, and I will share that with you as well.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
That is,
Yeah.
We
that's
look forward,
awesome, Linda.
we look forward to, again, combining our efforts together and moving this needle once again in the time frame we have for next year, or whatever time we can do, things we can do for this year. Thank you so much. Right now, and Miss Cynthia Jones, thank you so much for bringing Miss Thornton on board to us. We certainly needed to hear that encouraging words of the presentation that she's given us. And as you can see, we need all the help that we can get from all corners of those who are interested parties. So again, thank you for both of you.
You are more than welcome. We're just trying to save lives, Ron.
Yes,
That's all we're trying to do.
yes. I want to now, I want to open up the floor for the mic for discussion. I know we seem to have a small body here tonight, but nevertheless, I would like to open up. I think Barbara Hufford, you had your question for Peter, but also any and all questions regarding things said here and done thus far tonight, and we'll kind of go from there. So Barbara, let's get your question for Peter, and then we'll start with others and go from there.
Yes, Peter, I received 2 letters today regarding people coming onto my property. And one of the letters is regarding a subject I know we've talked about before, and that was the pedestrian and bicycle connectivity project. And then I got another letter talking about Maryland 210 between South Lawn Park and Henson Creek. Said that they want to do field research, survey activities, environmental analysis, and wetland delineation. And I got this letter and I found out another neighbor on Murray Hill Drive, I guess, got these letters. Are you familiar at all with what they're planning to do, that they're coming on our property to look for things?
Yes, they're looking to retrofit um, a bike path, well, it's a shared use path that would parallel Maryland 210. It would it would be on the east side of 210. It would start, I want to say it starts somewhere around Oxon Hill Road, and then it'll go down, and then one of the alignments looks into connecting with the Henson Creek Trail, going under Maryland 210, and then it would just continue on the west side. That's one of the alignments that's being considered, and that's to as MDOT moves forward with the next interchange projects, we're looking to provide some type of parallel path that would provide safe access for pedestrians and bicyclists along adjacent to Maryland 210.
Okay,
So-
and so, why do they need to come on the property? Are they looking at our backyards? I wouldn't imagine it would be our front yards. So,
Regretfully, I don't know the specifics, but I have a feeling but my sense is that that what's being done is in association with that project of the shared use path. So they pretty much look at everything. Stormwater management, environmental impacts, those kinds of things, potential right of way impacts. I don't know if there's going to be any as part of this, or what they have in mind, but they look at what, potentially what the limit of disturbance may be when they get into design, into the design of the project. I don't know if that helps any, but that's part of the reasoning behind sending letters out to people who live immediately adjacent to this proposed shared use path. They want to make sure that you all know that, you may have people, there'll be people in the area doing surveys and that type of thing. So that's the reasoning for the letters.
is this part of the current overpass, or as you're saying, is it also trying to look into the next overpass down towards Hover Mills and down at that intersection?
How do I explain this? It's because of the bigger project, but it's really, they're kind of going in two, they're two separate projects that are moving toward the same goal of taking, going segment by segment, constructing this north-south shared use path that would have pedestrians off of Maryland 210. They would have a path that would get them to the same places that people go to by car. So it was part of the big project that this little project is being discussed and part of the plan.
Okay, so I guess, what, I think they said that they would allow a month or so for people to come, and then what happens after the month? I guess, do they start construction
No,
or?
no. We would still have to go through, there would still be meetings with the public. As the project gets further along in design, the public will be notified of the meeting, and they would, and MDOT/SHA would share what the findings are and what's being proposed as far as um, finalizing the alignment for the shared use path.
Okay. All right, well, like I said, I just got these letters today, and I contacted Reverend Sheen and I said, are we having a meeting tonight? And he said, yes. I said, good, I can talk to Peter. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Barbara, for your questions to Peter. I'd like to open it up to any other questions. I wanted to make some comments on some few things that bring enlightenment to the group, but first of all, I'd like to get any other questions from our presenters that the audience may have.
Reverend,
Green.
it's Tamara Brown, and good evening to everyone. Peter, you know the question I'm going to ask, but I always have to get an update on, since we got the letter back from the county about the MGM funds. They basically have instructed us, our committee, that basically the ball is in SHA's court, and it's the state that has to quote unquote request the funding so that they can release the funds to do the study for the next overpass.
Okay.
And I'm wondering if that request has been made.
I need to find out.
Okay, have you, Ron, have you forwarded the county's response to our FOIA request to Peter, where they explained the process and basically said that it was the state that had to make the request for the funding? And if not, can you forward that to him so that it is, I'm not sure that the right hand is talking to the left hand, or the left hand knows what the left hand is doing.
Yeah, I don't remember if I did include Peter on distribution, but I'll do that tonight.
Okay,
Thank you.
perfect. And in that way, Peter, you'll see what the county is saying as to the funding. They acknowledge that they have the money and it's just sitting there. What they basically said, and you'll see this when you get the email from Ron, is that it's the state that has to actually request the funds, and they won't automatically release it to the state. So whomever within SHA that can be passed on to, so that the next phase can start, would be greatly appreciated.
Okay. Thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Davis Brown.
May I ask a follow-up question there? And this is Zeno St. Cyr speaking. What is there left to study? I thought the study had been completed for each of these intersections. Now, granted, I recognize that each of the intersections will be on its own individual schedule, but the only type of study that I would imagine that needs to be done at this point is something just around the edges, working with the utilities to get power lines moved, perhaps moving traffic signals and and at a minimum, I would think any additional engineering or environmental impact studies would have to be done. I thought that was already pretty much taken care of.
So by law, and I appreciate the question, nothing's ever simple. What I would say is that by law, the federal government requires that we do some type of reassessment because conditions change over time. So we have to make sure that when the project gets into deep into the design process, that everything is assessed. Clearly, we have opportunities for improvement, from the last project that we did, because that was a complete nightmare with respect to relocating utilities. That was awful. And we don't want to repeat of the same thing with the next two projects. We need to go through all the different permits in order to move forward with the project. So as you can appreciate, there's a lot of development that has occurred since 2000 where conditions have changed. And it's not just here, it's everywhere. So we have to account for those changes so that we as an agency know what we're dealing with, and we do exactly what needs to be done in order for the project to be successful. So I know I didn't say much in that answer, but as you can appreciate, there's a lot of different components that go into the project itself. We're not starting from 0, but we're probably starting from 10 or 15 out of a scale of 100. So I understand the frustration.
This is Cynthia Jones. I have a concern I need to address to Peter.
Yes, Ms. Jones, how are you?
I'm doing marvelous. How are you?
I'm fine.
Last Wednesday, I traveled from Berry Road to home, and there was an accident headed south on 210. And I'm saddened to say that the traffic backed up all the way back to the Woodrow Wilson Bridge. I saw the accident. It was a 2-car collision where someone ran in the back of someone else. The 2 individuals were standing on the outside exchanging information. They couldn't get over on a shoulder because there is no shoulder. There are only guardrails that lead from Oxon Hill Road up to Fort Washington Road on the left-hand side. I've never seen traffic back up like that since I've lived here. And I must say, it must have something to do with no guardrails on the left-hand side of the highway because they couldn't get over to exchange information. Are you aware that there is no shoulder in that area? It's just guardrails?
When you say, I thought when where this was on 210 at 228.
No, not 228. You know where the Giant is off of Indian Head Highway 210? The
Is
new
this
Giant?
at Old Fort Road North?
Right. You take a right turn, you go up to Fort Washington Road, right turn at the light.
Okay.
Got it? There's a shoulder on the right, but there is no shoulder on the left.
Yeah. usually when we provide shoulders, well, if we do provide shoulders, it's usually on the right-hand side. If we're lucky if we get shoulders on the left side, and usually the left shoulders are along the interstates, typically where there are 4 or more lanes. And
Oh,
that's the way the Capital Beltway is generally. There are sections of the Capital Beltway where there are very narrow shoulders on the left side of the roadway, but generally speaking, from a good portion of Prince George's County has pretty the widest shoulders. I'll say wide. I won't say generous. Say wide shoulders, up to and including where 95 splits to go toward Baltimore. That whole section has nice shoulders, but generally speaking, a 3 lanes or less in one direction, the left shoulder is generally speaking 4 feet. But if it's more than 3 lanes, if it's like a 4th lane, we like to have a 10-foot wide lane on the left side, as we would on the right side for emergency response purposes.
right. On the left side where there is no shoulder, there is a dip. So if they had pulled over, they would have gone down, and I guess that's why the guardrail is there.
Yes,
I guess
yes,
because there's a dip that goes
yes. And that's to
downward.
protect, yeah, that's to protect people from ending up in the ditch in those particular cases.
Okay. Well, it did cause a lot of havoc because there was traffic around Oxon Hill Road, MGM. I mean, it was just horrendous. People trying to find alternate routes to get home, and all the arteries were backed up to the bridge. I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Okay, thank you.
Any
You're
other
welcome.
questions that we have for our presenters? I wanted to update everyone on the kind of current state of affairs that we find ourselves in as a 210 Traffic Safety Committee regarding some recent occurrences. I think it would be well that you are also enlightened what is going on. As you probably have known, we used to have a segment here in the beginning where the traffic speed camera traffic statistics were readily reported to you in giving you up-to-date data as best we could as the frequency occurrences of what's happening on the roadway by way of the camera data analysis and reporting. As it were, the data is a large chunk of what has been able to be useful in being able to construct the 2 bills that we've had in process at the General Assembly right now. Without that insight from that data that we have been getting for the last 3 years, we would be very much, even not being considered for anything having to do with getting a bill passed, because many my experiences have been, at least the very small experience I've had in Annapolis, things are data driven. What data do you have to support your argument, your claim, the thing that you're trying to get across to create a bill? And so those reports have been very instrumental in doing that. Ever since, unfortunately, and I'm just going to I guess, feel that you all have seen the Tracy Wilkins report on the Anyhead Highway speed camera dilemma that occurred back here, and the report was given back in February last month. There's been a change of heart in terms of where the getting the report data. Basically speaking, we have been cut off. I was told, and I won't mention any names, that I would call every, I guess, week before this meeting that we have here on the third Monday, every month, to report to make sure that the reporting data would be forwarded to me before the end of the previous week or before the meeting. And I was told at that time, after the Tracy Wilkins report, that basically things would be on high, would have to be vetted before it would reach into get to my hands. But and I asked directly, are we going to be cut off? And the answer was no. But then at the end of the week, I received nothing. At the end, matter of fact, I was told emphatically that I would get I would get data. Now we've been getting data for the last 3 years, so again, the importance of the data speaks for itself in terms of what we've been able to work with in order to create the bills that we again that I've already spoken towards. I've made several attempts. I've made in terms of verbal phone calls, text messages, what have you. I just recently sent out an email to not only the source that I usually get the data from, but also to some other concern elements that I hope would also would look at the issue at hand. This is very disturbing. The Tracy Wilkins, just review that, Tracy Wilkins report basically showed that the contractor in charge of creating the data was unfortunately, the data has not been given in the type of proficiency that I think all of us would desire from anyone that's contracting business from us personally, or certainly state government that we pay taxes to. They have a particular, how can I say it, defining quality by how the data is given to us in terms of the mechanics that are involved when a driver basically drives at a speed that makes an infraction, a recorded infraction on the camera, and that is anything over 67 miles per hour. They give you a 12-mile-per-hour bump in the 55-mile-per-hour zone. So anything 67 miles per hour and above would be what they call a reported citable event. Now, citable event may not necessarily turn into a citation, because there could be emergency vehicles that police, fire, ambulance that are going at the speeds to emergency speeds, and you know that would be a vetting event. If there's some reason that the tag is not able to be clearly identified, that's that type of thing. But what we're having from our this vendor was situations where anything from the last 8 months of what I was getting data from April of 2022 to November of 22, anything going over, any vehicle going over 90 miles per hour, no one was getting a ticket. Zero. The number of citable events that were recorded was 648 that were not getting tickets in that time frame over 90 miles per hour. That was not bad enough. The other constructed elements of how the report would read, we would get reporting data from anything from 67 miles per hour to up to 79 miles per hour, 80 up to 90 miles per hour, 90 up to 100 miles per hour, and then 100 miles per hour and above. Then, as it were, the other categories began to diminish. The last report that I received in November of 2022, there were over, I think it was 2,300 citable events. Out of that citable event number, only 202 people got tickets. That was with all the categories. So over 2,000 people in that last month did not get a citation. And this was the way the data was getting reported. worse and worse and worse month after month. This was not the first time in terms of the, the kind of the examples I've used. This has been going on in one way, fashion or another in a deteriorating fashion over the course of the entire year of 2022 and before. So there has been, that was the heart, the meat and potatoes of the report that Tracy Wilkins gave. Why is this allowed to happen in a continuous basis? She did another report not far from us up in the Baltimore area, where 2 cameras have been placed on I-83. I think they have a 2-year amount of time on these particular cameras, different vendor that's handling the material, handling the cameras. Their conversion rate was 97%. That conversion rate is the rate, again, from the site of the event phase to actually those getting a citation. So their rate was up to 97%. The rate here in Prince George's County, from the data that was given to Ms. Wilkins that she reported, our citable event conversion rate was 41%. How's that possible? That we allow that type of happenstance over the course of time. So anyway, reporting this basically showed how inept things have been occurring. What we deserve as a community is efficiency and effectiveness. Why? Because the cameras, basically, when we have a low number of officers on the road, which that's a matter of fact, cruising officers. We have no state troopers on the road. We have the highest death rate on the same road. The cameras are basically the only 24/7 enforcement element that we have on any head highway, the 3 cameras. So to remove the data reporting from this community, from this group, I mean, it's insensible. But this is what's going on. I want you to understand, that's what we have been dealing with. Our job has been from the beginning to help come alongside our Prince George's County Police Department to bring an enhancement to get more cameras, to get the increase in fines, to get anything we can to help them, to help us to be a more safe community. That has always been our objective. But when we're shut out of the very data that allows that to happen, you can figure that out for yourself. So I want you to understand that's where we are with things. All of us are very disappointed in how this is being handled. And it's something that has to be rectified. It has to be something that is done. Prince George's County Police are public servants. They're public servants that are there to protect the community. And the transparency element of the reporting is something that we all need in order to be a more effective element, I think, from their perspective as law officers, but also from our perspective as community residents, to know just how effective things are with the cameras that are being used to bring safety to us as a community. I just open it up to anyone that may have to comment on that. If not, then we'll close out.
I have a,
This is where
sorry.
Yes.
This is J.O. Huggins. So I have a couple of questions. So we were getting the reports from the PG County Police
Yes.
or through the vendor, and the vendor was giving those data to the police.
Yes.
And the police have basically circled the wagons and said that we won't voluntarily give you this information anymore. Is that basically what has happened?
Well, yeah, I haven't said that, but the actions have basically represented that, yes.
So do you think like city council people can influence the police? Do you think if we write in, as a group more formally to the police to ask for these Like, what actions do you think we could take as a community to put pressure on them to continue these reports?
Well, the avenue of the council is one that, as we speak, we're pursuing.
Good.
The avenue of getting us as a group, as residents, to write in. Now to write into who, we have to find out the target person that
Yeah.
we write into. And I think the best, at this point, I think we'd have to write to the council chair, our dissatisfaction. And I think that's Tom Denorga. Am I right, Ron? Tom Denorga?
Yes.
I think that would be the person to write to, because
Okay.
at this point, I think that's something that we're going to have to take those measures. Again, we would not have these two bills in process right now if it were not for the data that we have been getting.
No,
over the course of
No,
time.
I understand the importance. I think that, we should have strategy A, B, and C. I mean, this is still public data. So if we needed to, at the worst case scenario, we could probably pepper them with types of like, I don't know what the local statute is, but basically the Freedom of Information Act. We can send them a weekly one for weekly data. It'll take a long time for us to get it, but it doesn't mean we can't get the data.
Yeah.
And they won't be happy with that because they'll be annoyed. So
Yeah.
like, we don't want to get there, but I think there's steps that we can take to put the pressure on that they, so that it's in their interest to voluntarily share this information.
Yes, well, we're willing to take all measures within, confines of anything reasonable to address this issue. I think it's something without question the utmost importance, and it's something that really needs to be dealt with. I think Ms. Huggins, for that line of question, I think I have Peter Campanides had his hands up that also wanted to chime in on I guess this issue.
Yes. So, how were you able to convince the vendor or the police department for that matter, to be able to obtain this data in the first place?
3 years ago, Ron Weiss and I, we went to actually the police unit or I guess office out in Landover when Stawinski was still head of the police department. We had an in-person meeting. This was all before COVID occurred, with all the head. I guess I can't remember all of the players. I know the Revenue Authority was there. I know that I guess all those right beneath Stawinski, and I guess at least 3 officers, including Major Mitchell, were there, and they assured us with the promise that they would supply us this reporting data on a month-by-month basis. Now, since that time, there has been a regime change, as you know. Stawinski is no longer there, and those players that were at that meeting are no longer there, if to my best recollection as well. I think still with the police department, but I don't think they're in the positions that they were in at that time. So, but nevertheless, those we were assured, Ron and I, that this group, I mean, because here again, the whole reason we were trying to get the information was the very things we're doing right now in process with the bills, to try to get, upgrade of the cameras, get more cameras, and, eventually to get the fines increased. This was supposed to be a joint effort where we were working hand in hand to enhance the, enforcement aspect of the community by way of the police. I hope that answers your question. I think Zeno.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Oh, good. I'm sorry, Peter.
This was just for the purposes of everyone else. It's like you received cooperation and now you're not.
Yes.
And without any real explanation as to why, which that's the most disconcerting part of all.
Yes, and that it is. It very much is. It was just drop off the cliff. No communication. That's the way it's come down. Brother Zeno, I'm gonna divert to you, your question.
Yeah, thank you. And this is very disappointing information and disappointing actions by the vendor as well as the police department for not forcing them to continue to provide the data. Obviously, they're embarrassed by their performance, but as I recall from a previous discussion we had, that vendor's contract is up for renewal. And with that type of performance, I certainly hope that it would not be approved. Contacting Council Chair Denoga is an excellent idea. I have no doubt that he'll be receptive and will assist us, but concurrent with reaching out to him, we really need to reach out to Councilman Burrows as our county council representative. I also would include Calvin Hawkins
Okay,
as our council person, one of our council people at large.
okay,
So perhaps if a formal letter is going to be sent out, those other two sent out to the council chair, I certainly would copy Councilman Burrows and Councilman at Large Hawkins
okay,
at a minimum. We also should be reaching out to the county executive's office as well.
yeah,
And to the extent that we're able to get a meeting with these individuals, that also would, I think, be beneficial to our cause.
mhm,
This is ridiculous
yes.
and shameful.
It is shameful. I think, just as a by the way, it sent out an email, a very in-depth email about all of this, what we're speaking about now. Actually, we sent it out to Councilman Burrows, Councilman Harrison, District 9, and also Councilman Tom Denoga, as well as the police department. So all of those were part of those. We didn't have Davis, but we did have those three that were contacted. We have not received any response at this point, but nevertheless, we have reached out to that group, and the desire is to very much have a meeting to address this issue with all those players mentioned to be a part of it. Yes.
Well,
And thank,
I'll also
Oh,
make some calls on behalf of this group.
Well, we thank you so much. We can use all the again the help we can get. I think someone else was about to comment.
yeah. Hi, Zeno, how are you? This is Cynthia.
Yeah, how you doing, Cynthia?
Cynthia Jones. I'm doing great, Zeno. I do want you and everyone to know that Councilman Edward Burrows is 100% in full support of these cameras and the increase in fines. The entire council is in full support of it.
Mhm.
So I do agree with Zeno that we should reach out with the council, because each one of them are in full support of what our mission is, to save lives. No more death. One death is too many. They know that. So I think it is a great idea to reach out to them.
But we're going to continue to move in that direction in a strenuous pace, and we'll let things, the chips fall where they may. But nevertheless, we've been fortunate thus far with no fatalities this year on any head highway. Again, last year we had 10. Again, over the last 15 years, we've had 89. One is too many. But of course, we're only talking 14 miles of roadway, and that's the real, the condensed intensity of the loss of life is the thing that is really staggering. And we're trying to deal with this in a logical and hopefully a way in which we lock arms with enforcement to do the things necessary to bring, safety on the road. We don't need to have internal battles in how we, particularly at this time. So we're going to do as a committee, as much as we can do. We certainly need each and all of your support. If you, as you feel towards this matter in letters to Councilman Dernoga by any and all of you, certainly could help us move the needle, I believe, to get this meeting underway and to see what we can resolve through that meeting. So I'll leave it there. Has anyone else had any comments on that, on the matter?
I have a question. Linda, is Linda still on?
Yes, I am.
Linda,
Yes, ma'am.
the issue within the motor vehicle and transportation, do they go back and talk to anyone in the House or on the council about their concerns with these bills?
Are
Or
you
do they
talking
just
about,
make decisions among themselves?
are you talking about the county transportation group, or are you talking about the delegation committee and the subcommittees?
I'm talking about is it the county motor vehicle and transportation who had the issue with the increase in fines?
No, it's the House Environment and Transportation Committee Subcommittee on motor vehicle transportation. That's chaired by Delegate Sarah Love. But I think what happens is that they have discussions out of the public view to decide what can be done and what should go forward and what doesn't go forward. And if they have a problem with a bill, they'll just quietly let it expire and not make a big, not put that out there for everybody to understand that they're not comfortable with it. They don't want to take the heat for it, so they just let it go and hope nobody notices, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I would bet that Delegate Love talked to Delegate Kumar Barve, who's the chair of the Environment and Transportation Committee, and maybe other people, that what she called the leadership. And I think that they're probably bargaining, doing horse trading and saying, look, don't make an issue on this one because we'll support you on something that's more important to you than this one. So if you want our vote on a big spending bill, don't make a big deal about this one or something like that. I'm just making that up, but they do horse trading and they do that behind the scenes, and the things that get left on the floor are not they just don't talk about it.
I'm going to put a stamp on that because I've heard that before, and I'm not going to name any names.
Yeah, I think that's the way politics goes. It's just politics.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a chat message from Ms. Huggins, who's looking for contact information. Ron, can I connect the two of you together? So she's asking about contacting Burrow's office, and she's willing to make direction in that, to movement in that direction.
So I'm actually, I want to, I talk to their staff all the time there, and I want to be able to tell them who to contact
Okay,
of this committee,
okay, I see.
so they can follow up, and I will tell them, like, they already sent the letter, like, could you follow up with the leadership of this committee? So do you guys have a email address? I only know about this because Ron puts it on Nextdoor. That's how I found this committee, so I don't
Okay.
really know if you guys communicate.
I've spoken to, I think it's their constituent service individual, Collins, I believe it is. And
Yeah.
one day last week. And the things I've shared here tonight, I've shared with him. But I would like I can give you my email.
Okay.
If you like, it's Rob L. Screen, ROBLSCREEN, Rob L. Screen at Comcast.net.
Okay. It's just that I've done work for them when they
Mhm.
called me, so I feel like I can get their attention. Like, I don't feel, special, but I think that, because I've come through for them, like maybe they'll listen and follow up faster, and the more people that call, the more attention they'll pay.
Yes, we need that type of support. We need that type of supporting presence, and again, to lift this issue up into for more than one voice, more than one venue. So every person that can move into that office on our behalf, we certainly welcome it.
Excellent, thanks.
Yes. Are there any other comments or questions or anything?
I just wanted to briefly mention that they had a big meeting as a result of this high school student being killed on Ritchie Marlborough Road.
Oh, yes.
You went to this, right, Urban Screen? And we've got a long history and a lot of deaths on 210, but they've had one death and two other injuries within a few days on Ritchie Marlborough Road, and they have this big meeting, and the police and Department of Public Works and Transportation show up and basically say, yeah, we're studying it, we're doing this and we're doing that, it's the same old story that they react to something, and their reaction is kind of half-hearted, in my view.
Mhm.
And then somebody will die somewhere else, and they'll go through the same scenario all over again. And it's like whack-a-mole. There's no overall strategy to deal with this.
Mhm. Yeah, well, until this committee was formed and the IHHC has been formed, have had to keep up with those bodies who are the button pushers and the switch pullers. Everything on here in how we would continue to, as it has been as well. We've only through the galvanized efforts of what we're doing here tonight and moving it towards those in legislation to make the noise. Now, but what you find, there's selectivity in who gets attention and who doesn't. And unfortunately, down here in this part of Southern Maryland, my gracious, I don't know what it takes to get. Brother Ron has put together a litany of videos from 2017 that has been on all the public television stations at WR Channel 4, Channel 5, Channel 7, and it's 38 minutes of continuous consecutive videos about any hit highway. 30 consecutive minutes about the death rate going from the Mejia children back in 2018 to all the other tragedies that have happened going forward. I mean, we have been on the news more than any other road that I can think of on a consecutive basis. But those who are in office continue to look the other way when we get into legislative things of what we're talking about here today, to try to really move the needle to make significant change. And I'm speaking of Bill 431. It's something that will really make a significant change on driving behavior, which we know that's where the issue is driving behavior. And we continue to have people who are, I can't, it just astounds me, someone who's living in Charles County would make the statement, there's no speeding on any highway.
Yeah.
that's just, that's staggering. That
Yeah.
someone, and this is somebody who's in leadership position in public office. So, but this has been the reality that what we've had to deal with. And unfortunately, now we're also dealing with things with our, the reports and the venues, everything having to do with that issue. So there are areas that get attention, and there are other areas where things will look the other way. We seem to be in that area where
Yeah.
people looking the other way.
We have been meeting monthly for 6 years
Yes.
to get to this point, and we can't get this dumb data from them after all this work that all these people have done and we're not asking for ice cream. We're asking people to do something to save people's lives. And it just blows my mind that we can work this hard, this long, and get this much. I want to say a word that I shouldn't say, but I can't understand how our government can be so unresponsive to a basic human desire to save lives. I don't understand.
I will say that was in support of Walla Blege, District 6. She was the one who had the presentation at Henry Wise High School with the death of, was it 1 or 2 students?
Yeah, I think it was 2.
I'm in a Zoom meeting.
Richie Marlboro Road, terrible accident.
Yeah, she was 18 driving at a high rate of speed when she
Yeah.
passed that.
Yeah.
Now I will say, Walla is on the council, and she is in full support
Yes.
of Indian Head Highway 210 and what we're trying to do.
Yes.
I will say that.
Yes, she is. She very much is. And she made that
Mhm.
statement. Reverend Tierney and I were there. I think Reverend Tierney has her hand up to comment. Reverend Tierney.
So I'm muting myself. Thank you. I want to talk about the meeting we attended Friday evening. And just sitting back as listeners, having gone through. And
I think you have to
what
speak up. We can hardly hear you.
going through as listeners, kind of going through what the people were going through, we understood their concern, their complaints, but from the county level, it appeared that they wanted to develop what they want to do. And then meet with the community about this is what we're going to do. The community was they were talking about a roundabout. The community said they don't want a roundabout. Well, they already have it in the plans. And what they need to do is go to the community first and find out from the people who live there what their concerns are. Because they got roundabouts out there. They're very dangerous, especially at night. It's worse, it's bad enough in the day, it's worse at night. But they're not listening to the community. They're doing from the top down rather than the bottom up. And they don't know what the residents are going through every day. And nothing's going to change until each and every one of them lose a family member or a loved one. Then all of a sudden they will wake up. Because, people are there passionately telling them what they're going through and what they're going through with their children in the car back and forth to the school every day. And the man, says, well, we really can't, the director said, well, we really, can't go into a lot of conversation about it because it's so detailed. He's basically telling the people he didn't feel they were intelligent enough to comprehend the strategies and the technology, things that are available to them to develop this thing. And this is what he was saying to people. And this is a man that looks like us. And I'm like, why would he talk down to a whole auditorium community of people who pay his salary? They pay taxes, he's paid by tax dollars. You want to go from the top down and not from the bottom up to get input from the community. And that was very insulting. And it was disappointing for him to talk down to the community, those that bothered to take time to come out and voice their concerns. So that's what I got from the meeting. They are talking heads. I observed the gentleman that was the head person there from the police department. He was specifically asked to respond to a question. And he just flippantly threw it off to his next person under him to get up and to respond to it. And I didn't think much of that either. You're going to be the head. You get up there and you speak up what your department is doing or not doing. You don't just pass it down to someone else who's a subordinate. So those are the things that I observed there. And I know a lot of the people in the community have been frustrated because they really didn't get any resolve or any commitment, you know, to do some things that they were asking about. And one big thing was that roundabout. I guess they put so much money into the study, and people looking for lights and things of that nature. And they're saying, well, we have to do another study for a street light. How many studies do you do for one location? How many times? You know, the geography of it doesn't change. So that's what was going on there at that meeting. And I mean, you commend that the council, I think she's the vice chair of the council, to bring the community together. But it has to be with people who are willing to listen and to take something back and then, you know, modify the way that they're trying to do things to help. That's
Yes.
Mhm.
I thank you for that. I think we have Miss Thornton, Miss Thomas. You had raise your hand.
Reverend Sweeney, I was just wondering if perhaps with the NAACP that we might be able to assist you with the data that you're trying to get.
Yes.
The reason I was saying that is, well, a couple of reasons too. I'm going to be meeting with Governor Moore. I actually have been nominated by him to be on the public-private partnership board and commission. And we're having a couple of meetings as well as working with a couple of other committees. And I think if you can give me the information that you want,
Mhm.
I might be able to get that information for you a little
Okay.
bit quicker if that's possible. If I can get it as soon as possible would be
Okay.
great. And let me
Okay.
see what I can do and get you the information that you want.
Okay. I will
Okay.
certainly get that to you, Ms. Thomas. I really appreciate that. We need, I've tried, actually reached out to Governor Moore. I have not got a response yet, but I certainly, if you have, the relationship to track to be able to reach him, we certainly would love to have his input on this. Again, this is there's no hidden agenda about what we're trying to do.
Oh,
We're trying to save lives in this community. And, the information that we're trying to get is a part of the elements and components that help us do that. And so we certainly would welcome, and I'll make sure we get this information to you so you can forward it to the governor.
Okay.
And we thank you so much for that input. Yes. Are there any other comments or insights that anyone would like to relay before we call it tonight? I want to thank all of you. I know we've kind of gone over time, but over our time, but this has been a very important meeting. It's a very important time having the right in the midst of the General Assembly processing of bills, and certainly the information that all of you have your support in giving us your attentions to what we are trying to do for the betterment of this community. We know there's a road ahead, and the road is usually, unfortunately, when there's resistance, it takes a galvanized community to push through, and that's what we have indicated here tonight amongst all of us, to lock arms and to move forward. In our desires are that we're looking out for those who many times are not able to have the voice or the platform. We like to think of ourselves as hopefully helpful in that arena of life to get those who are in power to do the right things for this community. This is, the things we've done and have dealt with has gone on for far too long. But I do believe, I am hopeful, I am encouraged. Things I've heard here tonight Ms. Thomas and others who have given, their support, in lending yourself into, again, a galvanized force to be able to move the needle in the right direction. So I want to thank all of you for your input, for your support, for your participation, and for everything else that is going on here tonight. To again, for the sake of, for the well-being sake of this community. I've said this many times in terms of, as when I was a chaplain here in the local hospital, it's nothing good of seeing loved ones rolled in on a gurney and having to deal with families with the sudden loss of accidents. There's nothing good about that at all. And this is something, the irony of it is this is all preventable. This is all, behavior laden, and is something that we make a choice in how we choose to govern ourselves in the roadway in a safe manner or unsafe manner. So the things we have done and discussed here tonight, we know is moving in the direction of trying to bring safety and to bring more living life on this roadway rather than death. So again, I thank you for your participation in all the earnest, passionate testimonies, presentations, things given here tonight that are moving us in the direction for the good of, for the betterment of this community. I want to pray that each and every one of you stay safe. And for those things that we need to do to, again, make the contacts after this meeting, we're certainly going to follow up with that. And we hopefully will have some good things to report when we come back on April the 17th. Monday, April the 17th will be our next meeting for next month. So in the meantime, God bless, be safe, be sound, and certainly all of you stay safe on this roadway. Amen.
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 Good night. Good night, all.